Good evening, and welcome to Summers County Board of Education regular board meeting. It is Thursday, December the 9th, 2021, and the time is 6 p.m. The chair calls this meeting to order. Let the minutes reflect roll call. All members are present. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Angel if he would lead us in the invocation. He's going to do At this time, Mr. Cochran will lead us in the invocation, and I'll make a special announcement when he's finished.
Let's pray. Father, we're thankful for the day that you've given us, an opportunity to gather together and be about business of this school system. And I pray that you would bless every part of that. Lord, we're thankful for the country that we live in. Lord, we're thankful that you have given us freedom. I pray that we would appreciate that freedom. And Lord, I ask that you would bless each of the board members. Thank you for them. And Lord, bless each one gathered here today. May your will be done in each of our lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
We are honored tonight to have with us the Hinton area Patriot team, and they're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We're very appreciative of that. Mr. Cochran is overseeing this. We're also pleased to see the principal, Mrs. Gum, and assistant principal, Mr. Vernon, here, representing Hinton area Elementary. Mr. Cochran, take it away.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank those Hinton area students. You all did a really good job in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And that's just a wonderful thing to say a pledge to the flag, which honors our country and all the sacrifices so many people have made so that we all live free and enjoy the wonderful bounty of this country. And so thank you guys so much for coming. Mr. Ward, would you say something about taking pictures?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're going to do that under pause for applause.
All right.
They got a special presentation for you.
That'll be fine. Thank you. At this time, item 3 is approval of agenda adjustments. Do any members have any adjustments they wish to make in this agenda that's been presented to us by the superintendent of schools?
I'd like to make a motion that we pull safe and sound out securities to be voted on separately.
I'll second.
There's a motion on the floor, Mr. Brogan, second by Vice President Farley, that this board pull out of the bills a bill from safe and sound to be considered separately when we do the bills. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. Any other adjustments to the agenda by any other members? If not, the chair would entertain a proposed.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as read with the aforementioned adjustment.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor, Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride, that this board approve the agenda as presented to us, noting the previously passed motion for one adjustment. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. This agenda has been approved, Superintendent Wardle, 5 votes in the affirmative. That now brings us to item 4, pause for applause. Superintendent Wardle.
Okay, we are now ready for the students from Hinton Area Elementary, and I want to turn it over to Miss Gum because I believe you have a microphone. Okay, and so I want to turn it over to her, and I'm just excited to see these youngsters show some talent tonight. And I know their parents are here, and I hope they're in the front row to be able to take pictures tonight. And then when they're done, I need all the kids to come up in front of the board to make them look good, and we'll get a picture together, okay? So Ms. Gum, it's all yours.
Testing. All right, she's a little stage fright here. Originally, we wanted this all student-led, but her partner got sick and had to go home today with ear infection. So if Connor's parents are out there, we hope you feel better. And I will let this young lady introduce herself.
Hello. Hello. It's not working. Hello. Right here.
You can do it.
Hello.
Is-
No. All right. There you go. Hello. It's not working.
Here, I'll switch.
Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Amira Brown and I am in 5th grade, and this is our presentation.
Today, we're going to be talking to you about parent and community engagement efforts at Hinton Area Elementary, and also some of our student leadership opportunities and why that is so crucial to our school systems. First of all, if you look at the West Virginia Standards for Effective Schools, it states under instructional leadership that you do need to provide students age-appropriate leadership opportunities. So we try to do that through our Leader in Me program. We have school-wide jobs, we have classroom jobs. We have Miss Amara and Connor that's not here have started making our videos that have announcements for each week, and we post those to our Facebook page. And so we're all the time looking for different ways that our students can take over some of the things that normally adults would do, so that it will prepare them to take those roles in the future. Under family and community partnership for the high quality standards, you'll notice that it says the school community fosters shared responsibility for student success. The community understands and supports the school's mission. Partnerships exist between school and community to support academic, social, emotional, and physical needs. And research supports that if you have good parent and community engagement, you'll see achievement go up. You'll see more students go into secondary education, less dropouts, better attendance. So it is crucial that we get our families and community involved. And basically, that's what I just told you there. That's some research that we found that supports that.
So what is HAE doing to promote more parent and community engagement? All teachers and aides have been trained on the importance of parent engagement, and teachers developed plans on how they would promote more parent engagement this year. We partner with REACH to provide an after-school program that includes a meal, homework help, and physical activity time together, Monday through Friday until 5:30. New School Tutoring. We have 20 students who attend after-school tutoring on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
The United Methodist Church provides yummy bags for 25 students at our school. They also provide that for many of our school children throughout the county, but this helps provide nutritional needs for the weekends.
Teachers send home weekly newsletters, and the school sends home a monthly newsletter. Many of the school newsletters include attendance information.
Parent nights are provided throughout the year.
Collaboration with the Extension Service to provide opportunities for students to participate in closed-end events.
The Hinton Area Foundation provides grants to our teachers, networking, and they also allow our school to use their color copier as needed.
Parent input opportunities through PTO, LSIC, and PRICE.
We have parent community volunteer opportunities in the school and classrooms, and communication through Class Dojo and Hinton Area Elementary Facebook page. And now we're going to share some of the examples of our, we might need to switch mics. And so now we're just going to give you some of the examples of things we've done so far this year, and it's a lot.
Open house, meet the teacher. Purpose of Title I presentation, communities and schools info with an open bag and book, with a book bag and school supplies giveaway. School-based counseling info through RMC, pamphlets on attendance, leader in me, and Title I, and meet the teacher.
During our parent visitation or reading fair kickoff, they could schedule appointments to meet with the teacher to discuss their child's progress, shop at the reading fair with their child. Parent guidebooks were provided and AR pamphlets on what the program was and tips on reading with them at home. The Communities and Schools Coordinator handed out additional book bags as needed, socks and coats, and also, if they attended that night, they could enter a drawing to win one of 4 $25 Kroger gift cards. So that was good. The winners came immediately the next morning to pick those up. They were very excited. And a pepperoni roll meal was provided to families courtesy of our wonderful cooks.
One school, one book. All students and staff get the same book and read the same chapter each night with their family. Vocabulary introduced each day, writing contest, and daily trivia questions at school for students and trivia for the parents through our Facebook page.
Back up, Mr. Dern. If you notice some of the pictures there, we did choose The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for our book this year. And those 4 students at the top were our writing winners. You'll see Sam Farley, Blake Robertson, Kara Wilkinson, and Chandler Crook. We also have in our hallway displayed their writing with their ribbons, so those are still up, so visitors to our building can read their writing. And then the pictures of the parents that you see there, they sent in pictures to our Facebook page and to Kelly Mills, who coordinated this for us, of what they were doing with their child at home. As well as, if you look at the Facebook post there, parents had a daily trivia question so they could participate right along with us. So in the comments, they would have to put the answer and then their name and their child's name and grade level, and we'd send the prize after we did the drawing home with their child. So we had a lot of participation with that.
These are some of our volunteers for the kindergarten pumpkin patch at the Memorial Building.
We also always have good attendance for chaperoning our field trips. This is the pre-K pumpkin patch field trip.
Topography lesson with 4th grade Mr. Bosley.
He's the husband to one of our teachers, and the kids were so engaged and excited about this, and he was having a lot of fun presenting this math lesson.
Progressive Agriculture Safety Day. A parent who works for Mercer County Extension Service coordinated this for our school, Jody Richmond. There were 16 stations with presenters from 13 agencies. We had about 28 community volunteers for this. All students were able to shop at a farmer's market with tokens and took fresh produce home with them.
This just shows you some of the presenters that we had. You can see our RO officers at the top, both Officer Farmer from the elementary schools and Tad Withrow, who is the resource officer here at the comprehensive school. We had beekeeping, we had a lady do mindfulness, you can see them on the yoga mats. We had bike safety. Center at the bottom is actually the forecaster for WVVA. She was there to do a session on safety and extreme weather. We had mitigation strategies for staying safe in times of COVID. They made masks with the Summers County Extension Service. They shopped at the farmers market and many more other sessions for safety.
This is our art event in pre-K, Gingerbread houses.
And that actually happened today. Great turnout of parents, and the teachers were so thrilled because when you're working with 4-year-olds and tons of candy and icing and trying to get them not to eat those things, it's hard sometimes. Miss Persinger actually had them hold up their hands and solemnly promised that they would not eat the candy, and they talked about the germs because so many people had handled it, so it was really cute.
Did you have to take the pledge?
I took the pledge with them,
Okay.
and I also read the books while they prepared everything, so it was a lot of fun.
And we did have a food drive to give back to the community.
How many cans and items do we collect?
2,225.
And those items went to the Yummy Bag program, the individual-sized serving items. Ms. Bollinger from our school collected those and took them to the church for that distribution, and all of the rest were donated to the food pantry at the Presbyterian Church. Upcoming parent involvement events that we already have scheduled. On December 20th, we are having student-led conferences, and we are inviting all parents to come in at 8:30 and allow their children the opportunity to go through their leadership data binders, to go over action steps created from their goals and their progress so far this year. Simultaneously, our art day will be going on, and we hope some of the parents will stay and help us with the classroom art projects. This will be the second art day we've had this year. We started it in November, and it was a success, and we'd like to see more parents in helping with that. And then we have on January 19th, Snuggle Up and Read. Parents can bring their children in, and the lower grades will be making a stuffed teddy bear. The upper grades, 3 through 5, will make one of the tie blankets. They'll get to take those home. They will also get to choose 2 books to take home for their at-home libraries, because we always want to try to build their at-home libraries to increase literacy, as well as parents receiving tips for reading with their children at home. So, back to that student-led conference day. Some of our students, I know that we won't have parents for every single one of them, because people work, transportation issues, and so on. So we are looking for surrogate parents that day. So if any of you all are available between 8:30 and 10 on December 20th, and you'd like to come, we're just going, Mr. Durnan, myself, some of the Title I teachers, different people will be there. We'll just go room to room and see who still needs to do their student leadership conference, just so that they have somebody. So check with me if you're interested.
Student leadership. Students can utilize their talents to improve the school, their home, and their community. The more students are involved in leadership, the more ownership they take in making the world a better place. Everyone can be a leader. It's important for students to experience leadership opportunities during their schooling, to learn the art of building relationships within teams, defining identities, and for achieving tasks effectively. It also provides an opportunity to learn to identify and display effective communication and interpersonal skills.
And you can see some of our leaders there. First couple of pictures is Eliana Meadows and Chloe Alden. They're just 2 of about 6 or 8 students that do morning announcements for us. The second picture is our patriotism team, who do the flags for us each morning and take them down each evening. And then you'll see a picture of the video that was posted of Miss Amara here and Connor doing the announcements for the week. We have a job postings board because we have school-wide jobs available to students. And then the last picture is just one sample of a classroom job board, because each classroom also have leadership opportunities in their classrooms. Making positive connections, communities and schools has been invaluable for us. Mr. Cochran is our coordinator, and he's done home visits with families struggling with attendance issues. He's provided school supplies, clothing, book bags, toiletry supplies, whatever is needed. He's taken firewood to 2 families. He provided a gift card for a Thanksgiving meal to a family in need, helped a family get moved, literally took his box trailer and helped her move, along with Mr. Unrove, the coordinator down here. They work closely together. We share some students, and they do a great job collaborating. helped a family get moved, like I said, hauled off the trash that the previous tenant had left behind for her, installed a new water heater, found them furniture, found another family bunk beds, yet another family provided living and bedroom suites for them. So he's done a lot already. And things like that make the whole outlook of families different. They see the school in a more positive light. And some of our families, they just don't know what resources are out there. And so he has a lot of background doing this as a minister and with his school. What was the name of your school?
Joseph Academy.
The Joseph Academy. And so their boys even cut some of the firewood and helped take it to the family. So he's been a great asset to our school.
Making positive connections, resource officer. Home visits to family with the CIS coordinator, administrator, enhance safety at our school, making positive connections with our students so that they know that law enforcement is there to help.
So that first picture is at Halloween, we had a dress-up day to promote Red Ribbon Week, and this young man dressed up like a police officer, and you can see he's like almost identical to Officer Farmer there. And then the second picture is Officer Farmer with his taking his picture with Eliana. She did wonderful in her multiplication and stuff, and he's congratulating her. He serves our school wonderfully. He does perimeter checks on a regular basis. He parks his truck every morning where we always have had people zooming through. Regardless that it's a school zone, if they see his vehicle out there, they slow way down. It's been a noticeable difference. He kind of follows Coach Starr a lot of the day and helps with the PE classes so he can make those connections and develop that rapport with the kids. And he's just there so that they're not scared of law enforcement when they see him. We want them to have a more positive outlook. So we loved having him. And I believe that's the end of Mara's part, but before we close and turn it over to our wonderful patriotism leader team, I do want to say that as a county, I feel like we need to do everything possible to be able to sustain these types of wraparound services and positions in the future, because once that grant money is gone, we have to find a way to fund those. So I'm just putting it out there. If a levy comes around again, please consider voting yes, because if we don't have the funding like other surrounding counties do, we can't have positions like this. And you've seen just a few things, and we're just in December, beginning of December, of what they've already done. So now I'm going to turn it over to the patriotism team.
Mara, let's give her a round of applause. If you want to.
But you have to come out to get your picture with me.
Go stay with your mom, it's okay.
Amira, you read wonderfully. Very
She
good,
does.
very well. And if you were nervous, it didn't show.
Can you hear me okay? 11 years ago rather, I was employed by Summers County Schools to be a warehouse clerk and worked down at the board office, the old board office. And one of the privileges I had was to put the flag up every morning. And I was thrilled about that. And when I got this new job at Communities in Schools, and the board office moved down to the cafeteria at the old middle school, I called Miss Gum and asked her if I could put the flag up at the board office. And she said, yes, you can also start a patriotism leadership team. And I'm so thankful for that opportunity. And so every morning we play the national anthem and salute the flag, and there we pledge allegiance to the flag. And what I've observed is that many parents coming into the school, or folks even walking down the street, they will stop and they will pledge with us, or they'll listen to the national anthem. And so we're going to demonstrate a little bit of what we've learned. And let's see, the first thing that we're going to do is stand for the national anthem. Let's all stand.
See by the dawn's early light, when so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose bustards and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the waters we watched, were so gallantly streamed. On the rocket's red glare, the monstrous eagle, he proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
You may be seated. We've also learned some facts about the flag as we go about each day putting up the flag. And so, Lee, would you tell us your flag fact?
There's 50 stars on the flag, which represents the 50 states, and West Virginia is the 35th.
There were 2 states added in 1959, Alaska and Hawaii.
What was the third thing that happened in 1959?
Your birthday?
The 13 stripes represent the original 13 colonies.
Betsy Ross served the first flag.
Never let the flag touch the ground.
Right. Okay. Right now you can remove the flag and hold.
The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veterans departing our ranks who gave a portion of their lives in the defense of our country and to attain peace throughout the world. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature. We turn to God in times of peace as well as in times of war for divine guidance. The fifth fold is made as a tribute to our country. To phrase Stephen Decatur, our country is dealing with other countries. May she be right, but our country is still right or wrong. The sixth fold represents where our hearts lie. It is with our hearts that we pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is made in a tribute to our armed forces. It is these brave men and women who protect our country against her enemies, foreign or domestic. The eighth fold is in honor of mothers who won the flag flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood. The faith, love, loyalty, and devotion of women helped to mold the character of countless men and women who made this nation great. The 10th fold is a tribute to fathers. They too have given their sons and daughters for the defense of our country. The 11th fold represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon, glorifying the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. The 13th fold represents the stars uppermost, reminding us of our nation's motto, "In God we trust." The flag of the United States of America is ceremoniously folded 13 times when lowered or handed to the next kin of the burial of a veteran. When our flag is completely folded, it takes on the appearance of a tri-corner hat, reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington, the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, and all who followed in the U.S. Armed Forces. They have preserved the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy and celebrate today. The next time you observe a flag ceremony honoring someone who has served our country in the armed forces, the police department, or fire department, keep in mind all the important reasons behind each and every fold, and remember those who sacrificed so much for us by honoring our flag and our country. I'm Leah Mann, and I'm in 5th grade.
Daniel Bishop, 3rd grade. Hunter Atkins, 5th grade. Bailey Atkins, 5th grade. Riley Renee Goins, 5th grade.
Mr. Warvel, Hinton Area Elementary wants to give you this flag for the new board office.
Can you guys help me hang it from my office? So Patriot Principal, you can come with me one day, we'll get it done, okay?
I think that can be arranged.
You think I'll be arranged? Thank you guys. Let's give these guys a round of applause. Thank you.
Do you want their pictures?
Thank you, guys. Let's come up here and make the board members look good. I know you don't want to do this, but if you do it quicker, you can leave quicker. How about that? Just stand right here in front of this middle table here. And maybe if you kind of squat down and some people can get your pictures. And parents, you're allowed to come up here and take as many as you need. This is a great photo op for your children. See, are you guys all smile? Are the board members all? Mr. Duncan, you guys smile.
That's where smiling for. That was an amazing presentation.
Mr. Warble, you should be in the picture as well.
Okay. I'll wear yeah. No. Okay, don't get away.
I didn't say what.
Smile.
All right, you guys made us look good. Good job, guys. Good job.
To the parents that are here, this board would like to thank you for coming to this ceremony. Your support of your children in the school system and honoring them and the wonderful job they did. That's the type of community action that we need to make this school system everything we want it to be. I want to thank Mrs. Gum for making that suggestion to Mr. Cochran about Patriots Club. If ever there was a time in our country that we need to be teaching our children patriotism, today is today. And so thank you very much for that. Thank you for your leadership on that, Mr. Cochran. And thank you to the students of Hinton area for doing a wonderful job tonight. And what you just witnessed is just one example of the many wonderful things that are taking place in our school system. And the people who work in our school system, as you can see, we have large numbers of people who are doing this type of thing. This is a positive thing about our school system, and there are many things to be positive about. We're not always perfect, but we try to be. This board, the superintendent, and the faculty in this county take serious every day that we're involved with the children of our community. And when we don't perform perfectly, I can assure you there's no malice intent. And when we recognize something that maybe is not being done as well as we would like or as people would like, we appreciate the fact that people point that out to us. Because our goal is to get better every day. And I assure you, the school system is getting better every day because we have good leadership in place and we have people who care. So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And let me say this to you. You should come back. Because when you come back, you will get an opportunity to see this type of thing going on all the time. And the more you know about our system, the more you will appreciate it. And your input in this system is appreciated. Thank you very much.
Parents, if you want to sneak out now, and kids who perform tonight, I'll let Santa Claus know that you should go on the good list now. How's that sound? All right, you guys can go if you want, okay?
Is it, go get this.
Okay, the other pause for applause is instructional initiatives that are going on at the comprehensive high school. What I'll do is turn that over to Mr. Kuhn. I'll let him give you a quick overview of highlighting one of our teachers tonight and what Dr. Edwards made a comment about our teacher, Mr. Wood. It's quite amazing to hear a compliment from a gentleman who has been in all the countries, been around the world trying to help out with school systems. And the only thing I can say is I'm excited to hear what Mr. Kuhn is about ready to tell you of what his comment was to this young teacher who is willing to get better, but also has made a difference in the classroom. And this is year one for you, right? So I am excited that he's not only year one and has a lot of potential, but he's homegrown. He's from Summers County, and I want to keep him. I'm just going to put that out there. I want to keep him. So, Mr. Kuhn, why don't you give what Dr. Edwards said about this young man?
Well, this is a good chance for you to update the board on the work that we've been doing with Dr. Edwards and his team. I believe we mentioned to you all last meeting that we recently had a more intensive visit from Dr. Edwards. He brought two other colleagues of his in his organization. They visited the elementaries as well as here at the Comprehensive High School. That particular day, Dr. Edwards, Mr. Hudgens, and myself went around, and our goal was to provide, for lack of better words, coaching to some aspiring younger teachers. Mr. Wood is one of those teachers. He was the first classroom we visited. It was his first period of creative writing, and they are creating, and he's going to explain that to you all in a minute, I was just blown away with it. They are creating a sequel and a parody of Jack and the Beanstalk. And so I was pretty intrigued about that. We watched the entire period. The two things that caught my attention with what Mr. Wood had going on in that class is he had a variety of personalities, of different types of kids. He had extroverts, introverts, and everything in between, and all of them were collaborating toward this script that they're producing, what you're going to see here in just a minute. The second thing that caught my attention was the fact that not only could he bring all these personalities together, I don't know how you did that, by the way, but he did. I've never seen more deliberate use of technology anywhere. I mean, anywhere that I've ever seen technology used in a more deliberate way. As far as collaboration, technology, creativity, and most importantly, the fact that we've thrown this term out to you all, DOK, depth of knowledge, which is just thinking deeper and more creative, being able to create a product. They are doing that in his creative writing class, and I would encourage members of the board to if you have a minute of your time one morning, stop by the high school, see his class. It would be well worth your visit. But I'd like to turn this over to Mr. Jeremy Wood. He's a first-year teacher here with us in the English department at the high school, and let his work speak for itself.
Mr. Kuhn, wait. What did Dr. Edwards say with a percent? Did you say that?
Dr. Edwards has been around the world for 40 years, and he said he is top 10% of any teacher he's ever. No, I'm sorry, I shorted you. Top 1% of every first-year teacher he's ever seen. So.
Hey, that's impressive.
That's worth
Celebrate. Now that your head's big, I hope you can make the presentation, okay? But you're doing a great job, and we do acknowledge that, and we want you to showcase your talent and what went on in your classroom, because when I heard about it, I wanted to be in your classroom. So now you got a lot of stress when I come visit your classroom. How's that sound?
I don't really know how to respond to that, but that's okay.
Okay.
It gives me something to work towards, right?
You're doing fine. Showcase what you do well tonight and talk to the board about everything you're doing in your classroom. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. So, my name is Mr. Wood. That's what the kids call me, but I always tell them, just make it Mr. J. They always confuse me with the coach here. So if you've heard Mr. J and you've heard some of the crazy things we get up to in the classroom, that's me. I'm responsible for that. I don't know about you all, but I don't particularly see 7:55 a.m. as the time that I'm the most creative. For high schoolers, that's a nebulous time of the day. We did initially struggle with some ambition there. They would kind of shirk off and be like, I'm tired and don't want to do anything. I'm like, no, we're going to create something today. So I got them more involved. I started asking them things like, what could we do that would get you excited to be in here at 7:55 a.m.? And they started talking, and I should have known because it's been the same since I was a kid. Disney movies. That is the trick. It is something that I have never met a child who hasn't at least watched one Disney movie and loved something about it. If you were my mom, you knew that you could put Pocahontas on any time of the day, and you got at least 90 minutes of silence from me. I was enamored by it. So I started looking at ways that I could incorporate the things that they like, because at the end of the day, that's why we're here. We want to teach them things and to teach them to be good at things that they really enjoy and to challenge them. So I thought, why can't we do this? Why can't we make a movie based around the Disney formula? Because we've talked a lot about different ways that you can develop stories, how good stories are developed. And it starts with the very basic narrative arc. You have a beginning, you have something that happens that builds up to a point, and then you start off a little bit better than you began in most cases. And they really started analyzing that. We started with Beauty and the Beast, which they really enjoyed watching it. I think only one person in the room hadn't already watched it, but we did some analysis work. I said, let's identify these moments. What are we being introduced to when the film starts? What happens that kind of puts a ripple in that? What do we work towards? What do we see in the end? And when they started looking at it like this, they realized that almost every story that they've ever seen follows the same kind of trajectory. So I challenged them. I was like, what is one thing that Disney hasn't touched, or something that you would like to see adapted? I was really surprised that they kept on saying Jack and the Beanstalk. I think that it's accredited to their fascination with the word beans, and that's why we are calling this project Project Beans. It now has a title. It's called A Giant Problem, but I'd like to explain that to you. I'm really amazed at what they came up with. I've not added to this. This is all of the kids' work. So they brainstormed a bit. The thing that I really love about this is they actually taught me this. I cannot take credit for it, but they are all attached to this one Google Doc. They can actually chat in live time and talk about the things they want to see in the project. For example, if they click up here, they can see where people have made comments. I made one at 2:30 today. I had one of my kids, I was like, let's make sure that there's comments from today in there, so when I present this later, they'll be able to see. But they're able to comment throughout the entire class, and this really helped the kids who don't necessarily feel comfortable talking in front of the class. It gives them a second to think about the things that they're saying and make sure that they feel comfortable saying it. I still have the ones who are vocal and talk more in class, but this is how I got the kids that didn't feel comfortable talking to do it. And that's in no small part thanks to them. But essentially, Project Beans, it's the sequel to Jack and the Beanstalk about Jack's daughter, June. And Jack, after he came down the beanstalk, left the family. The mother had June, and now she feels like she lives in her father's shadow. And it's kind of about overcoming that, climbing higher than the things that you thought you could, and overcoming those shadows. And I feel like I don't do the best job talking about it articulately. I think that the kids do such a good job with this.
here you see in this very first image, they were trying to visualize. I had a student come up with some character designs. Now they're working on set designs. They're not in here yet, but they've been trying to see what this would look like before they add words to it. This one really makes me laugh. Wait, we'll scroll down here for me. This is what the giant mother is going to look like. They decided she would look like a Karen because they read the original story and that's what they associated with her. Another thing that's really interesting about this is that this isn't just one person drawing and designing this. It's one person suggesting something and they as a committee say, this is something I would like to see in this movie. So you can see they've got bullet points here. This was the initial stage. I just said, let's work on this for 15, 20 minutes. Let's see what we can come up with together. All of these bullet points, these are things that the kids added that day. So you can see the family name is Squat. Someone in the class said, I don't know jack squat about writing. And they're like, that's genius. That's what we're going to call, that is going to be the family name. And I thought that that was such a funny joke at the time. I still think it's funny. They're working on some songs. I'll show you those documents as well. They wanted a Beyonce number. And I said, well, we don't have the budget for Beyonce, so we're going to have to do our best to write a Beyonce-level song. They've decided that the song is going to be called Papa Problems. And the lyric is, I've got 99 problems, but a papa ain't one. I got a really good chuckle out of that one. Here you get kind of a basic plot summary. You get June got curious and searched in her mom's room while she was sleeping because she told her to stay out of her room. They've since kind of changed it up a bit. Now Suzanne, June's mother, Jack's ex, she's ill and she has to go up the beanstalk to try to find the cure. And I think that kind of plays into the whole Disney arc of there's always someone ill or deceased in a Disney movie, and they picked up on that. I was really surprised that they honed in on that little detail and they added it here. They definitely have the romance storyline here. When she goes up there, of course she falls in love with the giant son, but the giant mother remembers Jack all too well, and she has to impress her way into Mama's good graces so she can end up with the cute giant. They're working on a song called A Giant Love to go with that, because it's not a Disney movie without music. But that's the basic plot. And then the villain is actually Jack. You find out at the end it is Jack, and he tries to ruin the relationship between Jack and the giant son, but they overcome through the overwhelming power of love. I think that one of the things I want to emphasize with this is that it would be easy for someone to become really overbearing and kind of shift their weight and be the main voice in this project. That's not been an issue. I'm really amazed when I go and look at the track changes feature, because I actually can see who's looked at it. So here you can see my students looked at it this morning. Some of them haven't looked at it in a while. They're in a separate document working on a separate part of the project. But these are the ones that are working mostly on the script writing. If you look at viewer trend, you can see on what days we've looked at the project. Comment trend. We don't make a lot of comments. We mostly use the chat feature. But I think that that's really nice that I'm able to see what they've individually done. And it's always equal. And that they can't see this information. It's all of them equally contributing to the project. I hear them saying that they're working on it outside of the class. And that is the biggest compliment, because I don't assign this as homework. They just want to work on it that much that they use their free time to work on it. So I'm really proud of that. Here you get some of the questions. I think that this is an ingenious use here. Every time they're stuck on a part and they're not exactly sure what they want, they'll use red question marks and someone else can go in and try to fill in that section. So they're able to kind of work together to try to fill in those gaps. And it's a really good way for them to just keep on challenging each other to fill in those parts and make this as good as they can. If I scroll down here, starting at the top here, this is all script. And this is very polished script, actually. As I read through it, I'm really I did not teach script writing. They willingly looked at scripts online and started filling this out, and it looks like a physical script. They even have the songs where they envision the songs that they're writing to take place. When we get more of the visual work done, I have one student who studied to be a dancer. She actually wants to kind of choreograph something to see what these would look like if we had an actual choreographer making the characters move. We have a student who downloaded a music app to try to write music for the song. So it's not just about writing the script or writing a story. It's much bigger than that at this point. And the fact that they continue to find all these different facets to make this as engaging a project as possible, it's all on them. I just let them go with it. I let them run wild, and I try to facilitate it as much as I can. And I think that they're onto something. Their creativity constantly astounds me. The funny thing is I have one student who I sometimes wonder if he's doing things. He's our meme maker, and we ended up we have a mascot in the movie. If you have magic beans, what kind of creature do you think you find at the top of the beanstalk? Of course, not a penguin, but a beanguin. So this is our magic penguins who are set out to destroy all of the beans so no more humans can go up to the beanstalk land. I laugh at this. Another joke with that is one of the students hates penguins and wants to get over her fear of penguins, so she added the penguins in there too. It's amazing to see all of the personality in here. Of course, you all don't get to see these inside jokes, and I'm privy to those, but it's so nice to see their personalities here. This isn't something that they're regurgitating information, they're creating something. They're creating something that matters to them. I have a few other documents that I'd like to share with you, because I do have it almost like breakout rooms. Instead of them having one document, I have a few. I can't find it. There's one at the top here. I'll pull this up. So this one here, the girls are trying to get together to write this song Problems. This is the first one, so they have a lot of pressure on them to really sell it. And of course, you have all of that weight of trying to deal with a dark topic such as losing a father through his own abandonment. And I think that they've done a really good job with this. A Hole Left in My Heart, made by you, never really met you, but still kind of want to. You left hollow memories like empty galleries. You were framed like art in my mind, but you're too blind. But then it starts off sad, and they go into this chorus. I have papa problems, oh I do. Have papa problems, how about you? That's my biggest issue. I have papa problems, oh it's true. I have 99 problems, but a papa ain't one. And of course that's a reference to a Jay-Z song that I don't necessarily get and I don't want to listen to, but they did incorporate allusions to pop culture there. Then they're working on their version of Let It Go, and I think they're onto something with this one. It's always funny, I can find these things until I have to show them, and then they just disappear. There it is. This is kind of the theme song of the entire project, Climbing Higher. It's when she's first climbing up the beanstalk. I don't know how, I don't know why. There's something about this beanstalk makes me want to climb higher, through the clouds to see the journey ahead. I'll make it to the top of the clouds where the mysteries may stay. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I need to just keep climbing up and up, higher than the sky, up to the clouds as white as snow. I don't know what's up there, but I do know I need to go, and just keep climbing higher and higher. And then you get this, I'm just really amazed by this. This is a first draft. This isn't even edited. They wrote this in a matter of 20 minutes. And just the spontaneity and the creativity, I'm always astounded by it. As a creative person, I envy that. And I can learn so much from them. And I think that that's why this project is working, is that it's not just me, it's them teaching me just as much as I'm helping them along the way. This giant love song, they just started it today. They have a double entendre here. Not only is it a literal giant, but they're also saying that this is a giant love story. You are high in the sky, I'm down to the earth, but yet I still would climb the highest mountain to be with you, my giant love. I love that, and I'm incredibly proud of this and can't wait to see what it looks like in a few weeks when we wrap this up. We're already about 50% of the way there. We'll get some pictures, and we're gonna try to reach out and see if anybody would like to help us add some music or something like. We have only digital music, so it sounds very tinny. Maybe we could get the band involved. That was a suggestion. I did speak with Mrs. Pipes, who is over the theater program. She's somewhat interested in maybe doing something with it. So we have prospects. If nothing else, we're also going to draft sample letters. Maybe Disney will take this thing and we'll earn a few cents. But we are going to mock up some letters and just show them that this is something that they can do if they're really inspired to work on these kind of projects. So thank you for your time. Thank you for letting me share this project.
Can I add something to Jeremy's thing here? I know Jeremy, I had him in school. If you would read his educational resume, we don't get young men, young women like that with that type of resume that they have, and all the scholarships, and all the grants, and everything that he earned. Those type of people don't end up in Summers County teaching. They end up in college somewhere, like Marshall, because I know you did a lot of work at Marshall, did you? I did. But if you pull it up and look what he got, this guy's awesome.
That's why he's staying here. I got him under contract.
Yeah.
We're keeping him. I'll just add, in addition to all the work he's done in the classroom, he's also one of our esports coaches, so I appreciate his effort for that as well.
I just want to take a few minutes to do kind of a round robin of some things that have been going on in the school recently, and one of which things that Mr. Wood is doing. Testing. And Mr. Wood, when I was in there, I was really blown away with what I saw. The kids were collaborating, they were sharing ideas and being creative, and that's what DOK is all about. Creating things and thinking, and we need more of that, and we're trying to do that through our PLCs, which we have been. After school PLCs, we've been meeting at least 2 days a week for about a month now, and we have really strong participation by our staff, and we're going over some of the Dr. Edwards' work with DOKs, and we're also looking at benchmark data and ways to improve our instruction. Some of the other things I wanted to talk about, certainly I want to give a shout out to our counselors. If you were up in town yesterday and today, they did the Get a Life program where our middle school kids and our seniors went up to the old middle school gym, and Get a Life program is where they get a career, and then they go around to different stations and buy houses, get a job, buy a car, work up their monthly expenses, and it was pretty cool to see, and we had a lot of community volunteers with that, and even though they're not here, I want to publicly thank all those who participated. Also want to talk a little bit about on our Pro Start. Really happy that we'll be catering for the steering meeting next week, and the students are really excited because really, COVID has shut down a lot of the things that we like to do, and getting back in the kitchen and preparing food and delivering it and catering, that's what they want to do. They're so excited. And Ms. Serball has got a lot of ideas that she's been sharing with me, and we're looking at some positive things coming there. He kind of touched on it there, but one of the things that I always wanted to get improved at Summers County when I came here was our arts. And creative arts with writing, I think that it's great what he's doing. When we talked about it immediately, he said, I've talked to Ms. Hypes. Ms. Hypes has, and I'm glad to say this, they had 68 kids signed up for a theater club last week, 68 kids for theater. And she is looking to do a theatrical performance in the spring. We've talked about possibly down the road doing dinner theaters where families can come in and have meals and have performances, and it's really, really exciting. Also next week, our band, which we saw this fall, our band was very impressive. And next week on Tuesday and Thursday, they will be performing here at a Christmas concert, and we would like to invite the board to come and see that if they're available. So, also want to give a shout out to our community and schools. Mr. Unroe and Ms. Hudson has done a great job helping our kids in our community. They have a room full of supplies that kids can get stuff they need. Just today, I was walking down the hall and a kid said, hey, I need a pair of socks. And I was like, I can help you out, man. And I walked right in that closet that Susie and Mr. Unroe's made, and I picked up a pair of socks and handed it to him. And you know, it's a blessing to be able to do that, and I really appreciate what they're doing at the high school. Also, our resource officer, I'm really proud to have him. He actually was voted by the students as Employee of the Month at our school, and I'm on social media with him. The picture he got a gift sponsored by New School. He gets a front row parking spot, but I tell him, you're the police, you get to park where you want anyway. So, but he's really been helpful. You know, in all seriousness, the nightmare scenario that we hear on the news all the time about, you know, school shootings and stuff like that, there's been quite a bit this year. And we've had kids this semester that has come up scared and talks about this stuff. And having him on campus is awesome, because that makes us all feel safer. And he will do anything to protect our kids. And I'm truly blessed to have him and the Summers County Sheriff's Department in this building. So thank you for that. And the last thing I was going to say, Mr. Andy here stole my thunder, but esports, Mr. Woods and Mr. Lilly have started a esports program from scratch. And how many kids you have?
We have about 12.
Have 12, but these are 12 kids that stay 2 days a week and participate in after-school activities that they otherwise wouldn't be doing. And we're certainly proud of that. And lastly, I know it's been a popular topic, but I want to talk a little bit about our lunch situation. We had some Facebook comments, and I just want to give a shout out to our cooks and our child nutrition team that's working tirelessly to feed a large number of kids in a short period of time. 700 kids and 3 lunches is quite a task, and I appreciate all they do. Having said that, we are going to be working with, I'm going to be creating, and I've already got 2 kids involved, a student advisory council that will be helping us plan menus and maybe improve the things that we offer for lunches. And the kids seem to be glad to be part of the discussion. So I think that's a good action step on that. And also I've invited a couple parents as well to hopefully get involved with that process. But having said that, I think we got a lot of things going good this year, and I appreciate the support that we've had from the central office and talented young men like him. We got to figure out a way to keep these guys around. And so proud to have him on our team, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
Well, let's give them applause.
Mr. Wood, thank you for thinking outside the box, making yourself different in the classroom. Your project-based learning allows you to facilitate learning. You've given your children the freedom to discover, and you're helping them perform IDOK 4. But all at the same time, you're teaching the standards for your class. And that makes me realize why Mr. Edwards gave you that wonderful compliment. So what I hope you can do is to collaborate with other teachers and share with them your vision, and your vision's a bright one, young man. Thank you so much.
Jeremy, I want to be in your class.
What time does your class start that she can be in tomorrow?
7:55.
I thought it was the first period. There you
can't
go.
take it back.
No, you can't take it back. Everybody heard it.
One suggestion, if they get the script written, that should be the play that they perform
Really?
this spring.
That would be really interesting.
That would be so much fun.
It's really funny. I have so many comedians in there. It's really funny.
I am all for any project that gets people writing and creating the things that are on the screen rather than watch things that other people have put there. This is a great project. Thank you very much.
I think we already mentioned community volunteerism. I understand your program that you had at Perry Memorial Gym. You had community volunteers who were helping with that program.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Are there any other presentations?
Yeah, I think we're good on that.
Okay. At this time, we have a public comment. The public comment will be given by Kira Ehrenberg, and the subject is condition of school lunches. And someone with time this, you have 5 minutes.
I need to come up there? Or
Yes,
stand here?
please.
Okay.
Does she have a microphone? Okay, thank you.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Kira Ehrenberg. I currently have 3 children in the Summers County school system. I have 2 previous ones. They are no longer with us, but I'm going to try to make this as short, sweet, and simple as I can. The food that is being served to not only my children, but all the children in the middle/high school is absolutely appalling. I'm sure that you guys have been made aware of my Facebook posts, pictures, videos. If you have not, Summers County News still has the posts up and available to be viewed. Children have been going without eating because the majority of the food, and I use that term lightly, is simply inedible. If you do not agree, I challenge each of you to stand in that food line, walk that food line with those kids, receive exactly what they receive, and try to eat it yourself. I did, however, have a pleasant conversation with Dr. Knott this morning, and she has informed me that action is being taken to remedy the issues. I feel that we have seen a very slight improvement in just 2 days. That goes to say something was wrong, and it is being noticed and being fixed. However, it is a problem that is a long way from being fixed, and I hope that we can all work together to find the solution. I also spoke to Mr. Hudgens today and plan on joining forces with him to do what I can do to help aid you guys in fixing this issue. It was also brought to my attention this morning that some of the children are being told not to post pictures of what they are being served. Why, is my question. Why do we not want to allow the parents and the community to see what is being placed in front of our children? My children, I have told them to send me posts and videos daily until this issue is resolved. I will tell my children when to stop. They should also not have to fear retaliation from staff. I will make the decision when it needs to stop. Our children's voices need to be heard. The parents and everyone else in this community needs to be made aware of what is going on. The pictures from the children are the best option I believe we have to allow everyone to see, not the pretty prop trays that was shown yesterday. Again, I am more than happy to do whatever I can to help resolve this, except for sitting down, being quiet, and pretending that it's not happening. It's not me, never has been, never will be. I know it's going to take a while. It's not going to happen overnight, but I am here to help as much as I possibly can. I'm also happy to be the metaphorical thorn in your side as long as I need to be, because this needs to be changed. Thank you.
That brings us to item 7, approval of minutes. Approval of minutes for November 30th, 2021, regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Angel, second by Mr. McBride, that this board approve the minutes as presented to us by the superintendent for the meeting of November 30th, 2021, regular meeting. Is there any discussion? Any questions? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstaining? 5 votes in the affirmative. These minutes may be recorded as having been approved. Item 6, approval of bills. We will take the first item, which is a bill from Safe and Sound. And we will list you as being recusing yourself. We have before us from the CSO and the superintendent a bill from Safe and Sound.
Make a motion to pay the bill from Safe and Sound.
I'll second.
There's a motion on the floor by Vice President Farley, seconded by Mr. Angel, that this board pay the bill that we have received from Safe and Sound. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Please note that Mr. Brogan has recused himself for voting on this issue. The board now will take up the matter of the remainder of the bills as presented to us by the CSBO and the superintendent.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. McBride that this board pay the bills as presented to us. The chair seconds that. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusing or abstaining? 5 votes in the affirmative, the remainder of the bills may be paid. Are there transfers or supplements? None. We have under 8A, old business, discussion, possible action regarding donation of Summers Middle School building to the city of Hinton. That will remain on the agenda until such time as we are to engage in a conversation with the city of Hinton. Old business 8B, discussion, possible action regarding renovation of the bus garage and drainage. Superintendent Warfel, could you tell us when the bids will be received on this project?
At this point in time. At this point in time, we're waiting on McKinley to get us the rest of the drawings as far as the structural integrity of reinforcing the building while the wall is being removed. I know Mr. Metter talked to them. We might be able to get them by tomorrow, but once we get those, we'll give them to both contractors and then give them 2 weeks to give a a bid on that. So at this point in time, we're just waiting to get the rest of the drawings and give them to the two contractors and answer any questions they may have at this point in time, so they know how to bid for this spring into the summer months.
Has McKinley indicated when those will be forthcoming?
Well, when they were here last week at the board meeting, they mentioned try to get them to you this week is what we're looking at. And when Mr. Metter talked to him today, they were trying to get them by tomorrow, but
Okay, very good.
we'll see if that happens.
And if that happens, then you would anticipate we'd be on schedule to receive the bids from the contractors then?
Well, if we would get them to the contractors, let's say for argument's sake by tomorrow, to be fair to both sets of contractors, they need 2 weeks to bid that out, because that's more to the drawings, and they really need to be honed in on that, because right now materials are hard to gauge how much the costs are going to be. So they really need to know all the details and be given a fair opportunity, because the cost of materials right now is really hard for anybody to predict for the spring months.
Okay. And when the architect or engineer was here the last time, we asked him about a statement from the engineer regarding the integrity of the wall. In the meantime, he said he would send that. Has he sent that yet?
Well, that's what's going to come in that second.
It will be with that then?
Yeah, because that's where they take on liability, and we are no longer point of contention. Basically, we're not liable. They're the ones liable for anything that goes on once construction starts.
Would you mind sharing that with us at the December 23rd meeting if they haven't gotten it to you by then?
Yeah, that'll be
Okay,
fine.
that'd be good, thank you. That brings us down to item 9, new business. 9A, purchases over $20,000. Do we have any? There are none.
Nah.
Item 9B under new business is approval of the county superintendent performance evaluation process as outlined in WVDE policy 5309 template developed by the West Virginia Association of School. What is that? I see West Virginia School Board Association. And what's the other? West Virginia
Association of School Administrators.
School
That's the
Administrators.
superintendent's.
Superintendents?
Yeah, but I think Mr. Brogan has a question.
That was just said, Association of Superintendents.
Yeah.
Double check with Lauren, but it looks like we do have one purchase from King Motors, $27,000.
Is that with the regular bills to?
That should have been with the regular bills. You all have already approved that purchase. That was for the county car that we were purchasing.
Okay.
That was when she says county car, that's the one where we're waiting to get the driver's ed brake on the right side of the vehicle, and it's taken a while to get that done.
We approved that at a previous meeting. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, you did.
That's the driver's ed meeting.
Yeah, and the state, once you approved it through using COVID eSurf money, then the state board approved that plan as well. So you approved it and the state board approved it.
I would like to ask the members to look into your packet. You will see a policy. It's Superintendent Evaluation Policy 5309. We as a county board need to approve this as the instrument that we will use in our board evaluation of the superintendent. This is a new evaluation instrument. In fact, it is different from the evaluation instrument that we received from the West Virginia School Board Association last time. The last time we did a formal superintendent evaluation. A board has the option of making up their own evaluation. However, the West Virginia Department of Education apparently wishes to streamline this evaluation process so that the evaluation centers around the goals that the superintendent presented to this board last September. Is that correct, Superintendent Warble?
Yes, and if you see that the School Board Association, that's Dr. Howard Call, who represents you all, and then the secondary, or the WVASA, that's the secondary association, that's for the superintendents. Association worked with the State Department to try to streamline that. If you go about your third page, it looks like this. You see the blue bar going across. You have 3 goals of mine already, and one of the three does deal with student achievement. So we are following this prescription, if you will, and it just streamlines it better. I believe the past instrument for superintendents was real lengthy. I believe that's what you said, Mr. Duncan. You had a longer rubric.
It had a couple of parts to it.
Okay.
It was lengthy, and you scored the superintendent based upon a lot of different criteria, and it was weighted by points. You're correct. There's a matrix with it.
And at the bottom, you can have additional goals, but the three goals I have is a fiduciary responsibility, and then communication to the community, and the third one was trying to achieve student achievement. I can type those three goals in there and send that out to you. That way you guys can do my evaluation next month and have that already printed in front of you, if that would help you all.
Okay. At this time, I would open this up for discussion before we entertain the motions. I would open this up for discussion if there is any discussion. Do any members have any thoughts regarding how we would go about? Does anybody wants to create an evaluation tool other than the ones presented to us? So at this time, if anyone has any points they'd like to make, you now have the floor.
Just looking through here, I noticed if we create another tool, it still has to be approved by the West Virginia Board of Education. So
It does.
I think that this is pretty thorough in the purpose and the responsibilities that I've read through, so there's no sense in recreating the wheel, in my opinion.
Well, it makes it very important that when we approve goals of the superintendent each September, that the superintendent makes the goals that really evaluate the student achievement and the progress being made in the school system. And so, actually, when we approve his goals, we are creating, if we go with this policy, we are then creating an evaluation instrument based upon the goals that we approve from him each year. So that's a good point to bring up. Any other thoughts by any members? If there's no other thoughts, then the chair moves that this board approve the Superintendent Evaluation Policy 5309 as presented by the West Virginia School Board Association and the West Virginia Association of, the Superintendents. Okay, there's a motion on the floor of the chair, seconded by Vice President Farley, that this board approve the Superintendent Evaluation Instrument known as Policy 5309, presented to us by the West Virginia Department of Education. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstaining? Superintendent Warble, by 5 votes in affirmative, this board has approved Policy 5309. That is the policy by which we will do an evaluation of you, okay? Okay, so we're good. Everybody good with that then, okay? We are in the tenure year of the superintendent's contract, which means that after January 1, between January 1 and by June 1, the board will be involved in the process. We have to have a superintendent contract in place and signed before June 1. Also, since it's a 10-year year, we're going to use Policy 5309 to do that evaluation of Superintendent Warble. As such, the chair moves that this board perform an evaluation of Superintendent Warble during the next regular meeting of this, not the next regular meeting, the first regular meeting of January, which I think is January 13th, correct?
January 13th.
13th, okay, I'm going to restate that. The chair moves that this board will use instrument 5309 to evaluate Superintendent Warble at the January 13th regular school board meeting. Motion on the floor of the chair, seconded by Vice President Farley, that instrument policy 5309 will be used to evaluate Superintendent Warble at the January 13th regular meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Superintendent Warble, please record in the minutes of 5 votes in affirmative that you will be evaluated at the regular meeting of January 13th. And that will be placed under new business as an item on the January 13th meeting. Okay. New business, item 9C, discussion possible action for middle school honors program, ELA for second semester. It's been brought to my attention that we've had an honors program in middle school. And Superintendent Warble, would you share with us your thoughts on that and where you see this, and then the board will deliberate?
In an educational system, there's always a push and pull. So I'll start with the general ed population. It's hard for us to get highly qualified teachers in the general ed population. You saw Mr. Wood is not through the typical teaching profession like I went through or Mr. Duncan went through. He's doing an alternative cert, and he's doing a great job. But those are people that are like unicorns. They don't just come in there and knock it out right away. We have a lot of people that are like him who have jumped in and are doing a great job, and they're trying real hard to make sure that they teach a highly qualified lesson. That's why Dr. Edwards has been working with us. Having said that, we do have some children that need the lid to be taken off the top because they're hitting the ceiling. They're already knocking it out of the park. So what we were looking at as a team of directors and myself was, can we maybe do the ELA, language arts? Let's start with that one. And maybe what we can do is try to do maybe an honors and just explore the second semester, get some kids to sign up, talk to some parents that might be interested in taking a more challenging language arts class in the middle school. And what we can do, we've already talked to Proximity, they could provide a virtual teacher to teach an honors class for language arts. And that's all we need to mess with right now. Let's just try one subject matter. And I want to attack language arts for one reason. What two subjects get tested at the state level? Language arts and math. So we discussed this, and we're vetting it through with Proximity, and they have assured us they could provide a highly qualified language arts teacher at the middle school level to do an honors program. The next question is, how do we do that? And I cannot answer that without talking with the secondary people to see, is there room in our schedule? Is this a possibility? First of all, you gotta see if you can get someone. Yes, we can do that. The second is, can we do it within our own system without straining it more? Because at the beginning I said it's a push and pull. And I don't want to put more on our people because there's this thing called COVID out there, and people are stressed and worked and they're tired, and I get that. So I want to make sure we work with all our players and see if we can vet that through for possibly doing that the second semester. So that's why we put that on there as new business for you guys to have a discussion. If you have questions, please ask. I have some directors here in the audience that may be able to answer some more questions for us. And I also have a building principal here that could maybe talk about the scheduling as well. But I don't want to do this in an isolation where I'm sitting in my ivory tower and I dreamt this up. That's not how this works. What happens is you have some parents that have asked, is there a way that my child, and then other parents talk, children could be challenged in the language arts? Is that a possibility? And I say it could be a possibility, but I can't promise you anything. All we can do is have a discussion. And so that's why it's on the agenda tonight.
So Proximity has assured you they could provide one?
Yes.
And we would pay for that out of ESERF funds.
Yes, it always, yeah, they can do anything as long as you pay the bill.
And so that would not put any additional burden or strain on our existing teachers because those students would be attending a proximity class. Is that correct?
Yes and no, that's the push and pull.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
That's the
about.
push and pull because you have to have someone on record here at the school level to be able to facilitate that during class time. And I don't know with the schedule if that's a possibility. But I wanted that to at least be a discussion because I knew we could do language arts and just one at the middle school level.
Have you gotten far enough to know what kind of interest you have in it?
Of the students?
Yes.
No. I would say at this point in time, we have about 3 to 5 that could take an honors class, but don't have any numbers yet. No.
And are you talking, would that be an honors ELA class for 6, 7, and 8?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Would, say between now and the next time we meet in December, would you be able to have more information on that?
No way.
When does the second semester start?
Middle of January, is that right? So I'd say the first board meeting in January, possibly.
And would that, if the board so chose and they acted upon it on the 13th of January, would you then already be geared up with your scheduling so you could start the program?
This looks bad, but I will never say I know something when I don't. I don't know. I have to talk to my principal and the staff and see if that's a possibility. It might be better to just start it with 6th grade this year and next school year, go 6th, 7th. The following year, go 6th, 7th, 8th. And then you have at least an honors that has been built up in the junior high. It's kind of like when you add an AP class or dual credit, you can't just be adding a whole bunch without seeing if your own staff can handle it. It's not that I don't think they can handle it, it's just you're changing in the middle of the school year is what we're looking at. So those are the thoughts that go through my head at this point in time as you really seriously look at adding to the curriculum.
First semester ends January 11th. First semester that's the day it ends.
Okay.
What approximately does proximity teacher cost in ESERF funds?
To teach a class for the rest of the school year, it depends on the number of students.
The reason I'm asking, I just wonder if we could potentially start something we can't afford once ESERF money's gone.
That's the other part. But then you can maybe put that into our schedule next year. If we did it like 6th, then 7th, then 6th, 7th, and 8th, you could maybe gradually drip that into the middle school. And we don't even have to do anything this year. We could wait till the following school year to do that as well. It's just a thought out there at this point in time. And anytime there's enough discussion, I want to bring it to you guys to have that conversation.
Is the biggest challenge facilitators in the building? And if you were able to find a facilitator, that facilitator could be paid with ESERF money as well, is that correct?
Most likely, yeah. I don't know. It depends on how we do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be possible for Vice President Farley and I to meet with you sometime before the next meeting where we could discuss with you? Okay. Is that okay with you, Vice President Farley?
Yes, especially the cost and numbers.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a moot point if you don't have enough kids interested.
So, in the meantime, then, you have your principals and personnel to do a survey on them, correct? Okay. All right, that sounds good. So, if you would, have this item on the December 23rd in case we have any questions or we want to discuss it anymore at that time. And then we'll have it, I guess, on the 13th as well. That brings us to item 9D under new business. Discussion, possible action for naming facilities, floors, fields, etc. This would be a new policy, a policy we do not now have. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, because I know back in April, we had some people saying, I heard you're gonna renovate Talkit, we got a great name, and I told them, we don't have a policy, let me see, we'll talk it through, and then talking with Trey, and since we've been doing policies, we thought, maybe this would be a great time to have some kind of criteria and do it with no emotions attached to it. Because anytime you name something after anybody, guys, I really don't have a dog in the hunt, but I also know that at the end of the day, some name is gonna come forward and someone's gonna wanna name something after someone. So it's nice for whether you're on the board or 50 years down the road, there's some policy that says, here's how you do the naming rights and here's the criteria. And Trey put that together for us that I sent you all to look at. And if you look at D, it ties in with BI7, naming schools and school facilities. That says to put it out for public comment. So really that policy has been typed up for you all by Trey. He went through some other school districts and saw how they did it, and they're Bowles Rice. They're connected to a lot of firms on naming rights. You put that out for public comment, see what the public has to say about the naming, and then you can move forward from there as we look at this. There's no emotions attached right now. It's a lot easier to make decisions when emotions aren't high and people are frothing at the mouth saying you have to do something. Well, there's nobody forcing anybody right now. Put it out for public comment and let people give you a comment on their thoughts on this.
Okay, then item 9D, discussion of possible action for naming of facilities, floors, fields, etc. That dovetails in with F, so we'll deal with that at that time. Let's go to policy 9E under new business, an MOU with Cindy Wilson, Greg Mentor. Contracts are included in folders.
These two people are retired, distinguished math educators and specialists. They know how to help out with mathematics in the classroom. And right now we have a long-term sub teaching 8th grade math, and Proximity's helping out with that. In the meantime, you have two people that can help out with the middle school math with not only the specific discipline of math, but also how to create good lesson plans, focusing on standards, DOK levels, and assessments. The other thing they're really good at is classroom management. Those are some concerns we have with some of our educators, because if you come to education world and you know nothing about it and you're doing alternative certification, you don't know the pedagogy and also how to do classroom management. So these two people will do those modeling behaviors of how to become a better teacher with the management of a classroom. And it's hard to find good math teachers, but these are retired math teachers who want to come here and help our school system out. They've already taken the data we have and dialed down into it, and they're ready to disseminate that with those teachers that they would be working with. We don't have a lot of great mentors to choose from, but we were able to find these two people who are willing to come out of retirement, if you will, to work a couple of days a week with the help of our teachers that we have.
Have they performed this type of project before?
Yes, they have, and they know all about Dr. Edwards and their school specialists. They know what they're doing.
Okay.
I actually would like to hire them, but they said they're not coming out of retirement for that.
So they've worked in other counties in doing this then?
Yes.
This is for the rest of the school year.
Yes. And we'll be using ESSER money because that is the part that we can use it for loss of academic.
So looking at this, 1 to 2 days a week.
2 days.
Will this be in person?
Yes.
And how many hours a day will we get out of
Well, the very first time they came here, they did it pro bono and they stayed. Mr. Hudson, did you keep them after school till 5 or 6?
Well, we were talking about PLCs earlier. One day we were having our PLCs and we're looking at benchmark data, and they were still there, and I asked them, hey, you guys know this, been doing it for years, can you help my middle school math teachers? So they voluntarily stayed until probably about 5 o'clock, and then they met with me 30 minutes after the teachers left to go over what they had seen throughout the day. So they were very helpful.
They'll answer emails, cell phone. You're not just getting them 2 days a week. They're not charging us more than 2 days, but they're here all day long. And then I know that he can twist their arm because they're very nice people. They'll stay afterwards. That's not the issue. They know this is a calling, and they really would like to help out our county because they've seen our scores, and they really want to be part of a team to help turn things around. And we really don't have a strong middle school math because we only have one teacher that is highly qualified. The other one is a long-term sub, and the other one is through the ACE program. It's not that they're not good people, it's just in 3 grades right there, 6, 7, and 8, they have one highly qualified teacher. At least these 2 are highly qualified and can look at the data. And I know Mr. Hudson's already put them to work with the PLCs, and that's what the PLCs are for, is to get that extra help. So they're not going to charge us any more than 8 to 10 or 12 hours out of a day because they're just good people, good hardworking people. They've helped in Raleigh County and Fayette County, and there's one other county, I can't remember if it's Greenbrier or Webster, but.
And do they determine based on their analysis of the data where they help out, or do they help out where they're asked? I mean, do they provide resources and guidance where we ask them to, or do they determine where that's needed?
All the above. I gave them all the data, they have access to it. I gave them a ream of paper, they printed it out, they have all the kids' data. They're now trying to compile it to say, okay, how do we move each kid up one rung on the rung of grade card at the end of the school year? So if you're a kid that meets standards, you'll get a certain amount of points for our report card. If you're a kid that's below mastery, but you move up to partial mastery, we'll get credit for that, which is a good thing. You have to look at a year's growth. That's what we're trying to do with each kid. If we get 2 years out of 1 year growth, I'll take it. But right now I have to be really realistic with our kids and where they're at with the amount of teachers that they've had with math backgrounds.
And I have to ask, with COVID last year, do we have data from last year?
Yeah, and we also have, can you tell them about your benchmark data that you're using, Mr. Hudgens, right now?
We're using HMH and Alex as benchmark data, and we're comparing it to previous test scores. Even though we didn't have tests last year. I guess, let me rephrase that. We're comparing it to last year's data. But English is pretty much brand new. It's the first year we've used HMH. So we're going to compare, we're going to do benchmarks, and then in January we're doing a second benchmark, and then I think it's March, and at the end of the year, and throughout the year, we're going to measure if we have received growth in that HMH platform.
And where's this funded from?
ESER. Yeah.
I think retired teachers are a wealth of knowledge. I say we mine it.
They both each have 35 years in education, and they both have credentials that say they master it, and I've seen them at work, and you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck here. They're worth it, but I also know you guys, the pill is to swallow how much it costs, but if you think education is expensive, try ignorance.
Well, I mean, I'm inclined to say that in this particular instance, this money will affect years on down the line, because the lessons that they learn from these mentors, you know, long after the mentors are no longer working with them, they still have, especially the classroom management, I think would probably, especially for a newer teacher, would be one of the harder ones to learn. So.
Yeah, and one other thing I need to add, because I'd be concerned about this if I was a teacher.
They are not being evaluated. I told them I don't need to know, if they're not doing well with classroom management or not well with the teaching, that's what I'm paying you to do, make them better, work with them. And so far, the teachers that are working with them, they seem real comfortable with them, and it seems like it's a nice match at this point in time. Mr. Mentor, who is, it's funny, his last name is Mentor, he is mentoring Mr. Sampson. I talked to Mr. Sampson, and he said, yeah, I love this guy, we're working well, and then I found out they both love music, so it's kind of interesting, those two are tapping into that part of their brains as well, but we want them to become better at classroom management, engaging with the lessons. What I can say right now is both the mentors, Cindy and Greg, said that they will not discuss anything with me if it's coming across as a negative. They'll only discuss to me if people are picking up stuff and what they need them to work on as we move forward working with Dr. Edwards. So we can tie those things in together. But they're not to be evaluated. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. Because these people are new in their craft and we gotta help them out. Evaluation be done by that guy, not these people. These people do not evaluate, they're coaches, they help them out.
Yeah, okay. Can I add something this year? I will say that the teachers are very comfortable with him because the very first thing when I introduced them, I said, this gentleman and lady are retired teachers, they are academic coaches, they cannot evaluate you, they're here to help. And, you know, for first year teachers, they're stressed out, you know, and when they see us walk in the room, a lot of times they panic. I'm serious. And having somebody that's not evaluating or judging them, or, you know, and they, you know, anyway, they're trying their best, and we need to get them the help that they need. And I think they're making the most of it. I'm already seeing improvement in both of those. Well, there's 3 now that are mentoring, but we're looking at a few more, and they're doing a really good job with them. I'm already seeing improvement.
How many teachers will they be working with?
Well, right now it's the middle school, but what I'd like them to see is maybe make it pervasive and branch out as much as they can help out the math department. Because we need help at the math department, the secondary level. It's not that it's anybody's fault, it's just we haven't had highly qualified science, math, special ed teachers. And that's why we went to Concord. We picked up 6 teachers there just going to Concord and recruiting. So this county, we've got to do some beating bushes to bring people our way.
So I understand we're not evaluating the teachers, but is there going to be any way for us to see if the students are improving through this additional?
Yeah, with not only.
And I'm trying not to be the bad guy here, all this big money people that's eating me alive, I'm not gonna lie, but if it will truly help.
Well, that's the proof in the pudding. What we're gonna do is use the data he's talking about earlier, the 2 ways of testing them through the 2 data points he was talking about. But then what I'd like to see is where we are at the end of the school year when we do our end of year benchmarking, and then also see if it matches up with state tests to see how we're doing. That's the only thing I can do is give you that much information. I don't know until we get to that point. But at this point, we can't make it any worse. Our data is very low. And again, I'm not name shaming or blaming, I'm just owning it. And actually, my evaluation is a part of that. It literally is attached to this. So you gotta hold me accountable. And I don't want to have this money sitting there and we didn't use it. Because we got to spend it by 2023 and 2024. If we sit there and hold that money and give it back, that's,
Oh, absolutely.
you know.
If that's the case, then.
But, and I'm not trying to twist your arm because I understand money. I'm not going to lie. This is more expensive, but you got over 70 years of experience, and they also have some credentials that say they're pretty doggone good at what they do. And they like this challenge themselves as well. So it's hard to find, I talked to Mr. Duncan about this, finding good retired teachers who, want to, how do you argue with someone, hey, come out of retirement, help us? when I retire, it's gonna be hard for people to twist my arm to get back in. And I'm not trying to be mean, but you know, if you're retired, how do you argue that point if they get to do it? And Cindy's a grandma now, and she's got a sweet little grandbaby, keeps showing pictures. So I do know that that's pulling on her as she's helping our county out, but she wants to do 2 days, and she can agree to that a week. She can do that. And then Greg's not married. He's just a bachelor his whole life and just loves to teach and help with math. He's a math guy. He's a data dork, and that is a compliment. I mean, I'm not being mean. He looks at data, and he drives it home and works with people.
I make a motion, we approve the MOUs with Cindy Wilson and Greg.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Vice President Farley, seconded by Mr. McBride. Does this board approve the MOU with Cindy Wilson and Greg Mentor? Is there any discussion?
So will they, or will the data be presented to us at the end of the school year so we can see if this was beneficial?
No, it's gonna be before the end of the school year. So yes, and yes, it will be both. We're gonna do it before the end of the school year, because we want them to come in and talk to you with Mr. Hudgens, because we need to be held accountable. So yes, both.
Well, they, essentially, we have a long-term sub in 8th grade math, and that's why we're gonna be using proximity.
Yes.
So we have a math teacher in 6th and 7th, so 2 teachers for them to work with.
We have a highly qualified math teacher in 7th, and we have a general math certified in 6th.
So we have those 2. Is this service under their purview, or is there a need to work with any high school math teachers? The 9 through 12?
If we add to them, they'll be fine. I just want them to focus on the middle school, because we gotta stop the bleeding somewhere. I hate to say it, nothing against the high school, but we're gonna just repeat history if we don't start dialing in at the younger age and build up. Again, nothing against the high school. We wanna help the high school if those 2 can do that, but I gotta start at the middle school and build our way up, because we don't have highly qualified math teachers at the middle school level except 1 out of 3. That's very critical and dangerous, guys. We won't see growth at all if we just keep plugging in long-term subs. And I'm not here to be negative. I'm just realistic about the data. I mean, that's like asking me to coach cross-country right now. You don't want me to coach cross-country. I'm just telling you. But I can help, but that doesn't mean we're gonna get any growth out of those kids.
Is there any other discussion? So motion on the floor has been duly seconded to approve this MOU with Cindy Wilson and Greg Mentor. All discussion is ended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. 5 votes in the affirmative. There were no nays. Okay. That brings us to item 9F under new business. Discussion and possible action regarding policies to be put out for public comment. The chair moves that items under 9F new business, 4-C-1, 2-B-6, 2-B-1, and 5-1-7 be placed on review for public comment. Is there a motion on the floor of the chair, seconded by Mr. McBride? This board place on review the previously read policies placed on review for public comment. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining, 5 votes in affirmative. Please place those 4 out on review. That brings us to item 9G, discussion on possible action to approve the following policies. You have those policies before you. They've been on review, have they not?
Yes. And if you don't believe me, Mr. Angel's always good at keeping an eye on that. What do you think, Mr.?
Have they been on review now, Mr. Angel?
The links are still not available on the website.
Now, when I checked them, they were.
Well, let's look, because I've got it up. So,
Well, you need to look on my computer.
4C5 is out there and it's available.
Okay.
And I agree with going ahead and moving forward with that one, because this policy simply states that we're following the state policy. But the other policies on review, 4D1 through the bottom of the list, they're not links, they're just black text. And I did try to click on one before, and I am on the SCSWD webpage. So when I get down to 4D1,
Just don't take any action on the 21st. You gotta stay on 23rd.
I'm seeing links on here.
That's what I thought. I saw links, but.
well, I'm looking at policies under review, and then just, you can look at it.
My computer's over here.
But I mean, if I can't pull it up, the general public's not gonna be able to, I'm worried, that's my concern.
You have to get a chair. Which is the first one we're talking about?
All right,
Evaluation of personnel.
They're links now. They're links now, and you just saw them with black text, didn't you?
There's a text.
I have evaluation of personnel is opening up.
So 4D1 is now a link, and I had it up just a minute ago, and it was just black text, and would not let me select it to open.
Well, I'll just wait till that pulls up so you can see me walk through it. I hate to jump too far ahead.
But they are showing as links now.
They are for me as well.
Yeah, but they just, when I pulled it up,
I'm
just
looking to see if
before the
they're all
meeting,
there.
They were not links.
Now,
So somebody push a button.
That's funny. Because I walked over this computer.
That's what it is.
Okay, if you look up here, I already went to board policies, policies on review. Anything in orange should be clickable to say you can look at. So the first one is this one, right?
Correct. And it was clickable earlier, but the
Okay.
rest were not.
Well, let's just, for argument's sake, to make you guys feel comfortable and full transparency here. What's that for?
Yeah, that's what mine looks like now, but it didn't earlier.
So when you click on each one, you want me to go through each one, Mr. Duncan?
No,
they're
they're showing
links
now.
now, but they were not
okay.
earlier.
There is
showing
black
as links.
text that we're not clickable, I've seen it, but.
Okay.
now I'm not seeing, unless I'm missing it, I'm not seeing 1A2 through 2A2. Unless,
Up the top.
okay,
You talking about up here?
they're out of order from the list.
And they were not at the top earlier when I looked at it, so it's.
Well, and he wants to run our esports program.
No, I'm archery, I just do
Oh, okay,
archery,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
high tech, I'm not high tech.
No, I'm just giving hard time. Okay.
But now, ironically, C5 is not.
C5 is here, because I pulled it up
C5
and
is
looked
not
at
for me.
it.
The first one that he said that was, I
You
can't.
talking about this one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Take your cursor off of it, see if it turns orange.
My cursor's not on it.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because I opened it earlier and was looking at it, and it just essentially states that we're gonna follow.
well, does this make you guys feel better, or do you want?
I feel better, but.
Because I was gonna say, I've been looking at these all week, and I wanted to make sure we didn't have any more, you can see them all.
Have we had any comments?
No, that's the thing, you really don't.
Well, it opened, 4C5 without being highlighted, so it's there. Yeah, they're all there.
Mr. Angel?
It was a technical glitch.
Okay.
I fully understand where he's coming from.
Because I want the public to be able to pull them up and see. I want staff members to be able to, I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to review them and comment and make any statement they'd like to.
Mr. Angel, I'm going to put forth a motion at this time. I'll give you an opportunity to discuss anything you'd like to say. The chair moves that this board approve policies under item G, all of which have been put out for public comment and have been available for prescribed time to the public. That's my motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion on the floor by the chair, second by Mr. McBride, that under new business, under 9G, all of the policies presented that have been on the agenda are to be approved as policy of Summers County Schools. Is there any discussion or questions? No discussion or questions. All in favor that all the policies under 9G new business be approved, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Please enter those into our policy manual. They have now been approved. As soon as we get this thing done, it hadn't been done since 1970. That brings us to item 10, personnel items. We have resignation and retirement of 2 assistant coaches, 1 in football, 1 in basketball. We have employment of substitute service personnel. Chair would entertain a motion regarding personnel items under 10.
I make a motion, we approve the superintendent's recommendation.
Second.
Who second? Motion by Vice President Farley, second by Mr. Angel, that this board approve the resignation, retirement, and employment of substitute service personnel as recommended by the superintendent of schools. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by 5 votes in affirmative. Superintendent recommendations under personnel have all been approved. That brings us to item 11, discussion of next agenda. The next scheduled meeting will be at 8:30 a.m. at the board office, and that will be on December 23rd. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. On that agenda, we already made note of honors. We will discuss that at that time again, and sometime between then, Vice President Farley and I'll come in and discuss that with you. Do any members have any other items they'd like to ask to be placed on the agenda for December 23rd? Okay, that brings us down to item 12, Superintendent's report. Do you have a report for us, Superintendent Ward?
Yeah, I just want to share this with you. The Board of Education, State Board had their board meeting yesterday. yesterday, what's today? Yeah, yesterday. If you look at the criteria here, I don't know, do I need to blow this up a little bit? Would that help? Okay. This is the criteria that each county has. I'm proud to announce that our county, on the efficiency profile, we met the requirements on everything that you can see here except for the universal pre-K school readiness. Now, it doesn't mean we're not doing a good job. It just means we need to do a better job to meet requirements. We need a little assistance. But Dr. Knott is working on this, and we'll be assured to make certain that gets attention. This isn't a reflection on one person. This is a reflection on the whole county. All these pieces are a reflection of the whole county. You can see our CTE, federal programs, special education. We meet requirements. And when you look at the federal programs and the special ed, what you're going to see there is a lot of do's and don'ts and strings attached. And when you look at the federal programs in the next 2 years, that's going to be dealing with a lot of COVID money. So you're going to see that that's going to have a lot of issues that our business office, Ms. Crook and her team has taken an awful lot. Ms. Crook, correct me if I'm wrong, we've almost doubled our, what we cost of doing business, right? And we haven't added any more people in the central office. So when you look at that, that's a pretty heavy task to take on. This does not reflect that, but I want you to know as we move in the next couple of years, that's going to reflect those entities as well as the ones we already use with title monies that we use for the federal program with what Ms. Renee Jones is in charge of. Special ed, that's a tough one, but man, you really got to know what you're doing with that, and Dr. Knott and her team has done a great job with that. As you look at the CTE at the top, that one we've grown, and we're trying to make sure we have highly qualified people in there, and so far we're doing a really great job with that. Universal pre-K, we haven't been given everything yet that we need to work on, but once we get that, Dr. Knott and our whole team will work on that in the central office. Finance, we're meeting all the requirements there. I'll tell you what, this next one, Mr. Kim doesn't necessarily get credit for it because he wasn't on the team just yet. This is past year data, sorry, Kim. So you got to keep meeting requirement. But personnel laws are not easy, and that deals with 18A usually. Official collections, we've done well with that. County Board of Ed member effectiveness. Well, look here, guys. Give yourself a pat on the back. Board effectiveness, you guys are meeting that requirement. If you remember last year when I came in here, you had an audit and we had an action plan. We've been doing that. So next month we'll work on a 2-hour board effectiveness and continue that with Trey Marone. Howard O'Call will give him 2 hours to give you all credit. So if you're sitting at 0, you'll have 2 hours after January. If you're already like Miss Farley, you're at 7, you get 2 bonus points, I suppose, for that. I don't know. Our facilities, I don't know how we necessarily meet requirements when we're trying to upgrade all our facilities right now, but what we have, we've done well with and taken care of. Mr. Boone needs credit and his team, transportation. And I believe 2 months ago, 2 or 3 meetings ago, what did you get on your scorecard? What was that again? Go ahead, tell everybody. Go ahead, Brad. He doesn't even remember. That's his problem.
I think it was 100.
It was an A+.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, he did really well, him and his team. So we appreciate that because nobody knows where the buses are until they don't show up, right? And so our bus drivers and our team, Mr. Boone, your group should be proud of that. And then child nutrition, it's kind of funny. I will say this tonight with child nutrition. Dr. Knott and her team and all the cooks do a hell of a good job making sure our kids get fed. The question was, would you eat it? I have eaten it at each building, and I do survive, and I'm a type 2 diabetic, and it meets all the federal guidelines. Now, I know when I was growing up, salt was allowed to be used, and lard and butter. I can honestly say, you don't really get to use that anymore. So our cooks do the best they can, but I like that Mr. Hudgens is working with a team of people to help out with that. But child nutrition did not only meet it, but our cooks have cooked every day throughout COVID, and I cannot tell you how many times that they have made things happen for our kids. So I just want everybody to know one more time that I'm really proud of our people. And this probably should have been in pause for applause, but I thought I can do my report real quick because this was embargoed. I couldn't tell you a month ago, but now I'm allowed to disclose this information. So great job, guys. You're all good. You guys have any other questions about this data?
I have a comment. And for those people who are listening, you can share this, I have no problem. Sometimes people are very quick to criticize. I don't want to ask you, Mr. Wardle, regarding these meals, did anybody in the community come to see you and say, look, I think we have a problem here, could you go over it with me, discuss it?
Nobody came to the central office.
Nobody came to
or
you?
called.
Did anybody come to Dr. Knott?
No.
Now,
No, but here's one other. Nobody followed the chain of command. They did not even go to the cooks.
didn't go to the cooks or the
teacher
principals?
or the principal. And our cooks, I don't know if anybody needs to know this or not, but it's no secret. I'm the highest paid, they're probably the lowest paid. And they do a lot of work, and then to have people make a comment out in public, come after me. Don't go after the cooks. Come after me. That's just not right. And our cooks do a heck of a job. And just follow the chain of command. If you have a problem with it, then go talk to the teacher or the principal or the cooks. They'll be glad to sit down with you. So that's not an issue there.
I dare say that other than bus drivers, possibly the transportation director, there's nobody in this room that gets up the time that our cooks get up to prepare food for our students. And they don't get paid that much. And they have been lambasted on social media, and that is really, really unfair. They do their job for not much money, and they go to work very early. And sometimes you wonder if people want to address problems and solve them, or whether they just want to have something to talk about. And that's why I made the statement earlier. If there's a problem with our meals, if there's a problem with bus pickups, if there's a problem with anything in the school system, you want to go into social media and create some kind of a furor and give information that may or may not be correct or is partially correct, that doesn't serve the purpose of fixing the problem. The way you fix the problem is bring it to the attention of the principal, the appropriate director, and then to the superintendent. Now, it's not that we as a board don't mind hearing it. It's just, if it's really a problem, that's how you get it fixed. There's nobody working in this school system in administration that wants anything to be done sloppy or subpar. We're not perfect. There's a lot of good things going on in the school system. You saw some of them tonight. So if we have a problem, we'll fix it. But it's really sad that service personnel, such as our cooks, got beat up over something, and I just want to make that comment, and we appreciate them, and I just wish people would come to see the appropriate school personnel, and if there's a problem and there's any way on the earth it can be fixed, it'll get fixed without humiliating people. And I talked to some people today, and there were a lot of cooks who were really taken aback with this. They live in this community. And so people are saying, what are you all cooking down there for those kids? They're following federal guidelines. That's all I got to say about that. I think, Ms. Farley, long last you're on.
I make a motion we adjourn. The time is now 8:13.
This meeting stands adjourned.
Don't leave this yet. I gotta have